the pressure to constantly achieve. I don't like that. You don't need to have a multi-million-dollar business. You can have a great life making multi-six figures or whatever, and you're happy, stress-free. You have the life that you love, and you're great. And I just think we need to normalize these conversations.
Are you ready for a show that actually shifts you? With real, raw, honest conversations about what it takes to become the most embodied version of yourself. And are you ready to remember that the world really does need your medicine? This is the podcast to awaken that. I can hear a calling. Because we all feel our higher self pulling us to our next expansion. But the only way to really get there is by sharing our stories together. So welcome to the World Needs Your Medicine podcast. This is the place where we can have real conversations about the things that have worked for us, the lessons we've learned, the hard struggles along the way, and the things that have shifted us into the versions of ourselves we are now. Here on the show, you'll hear from some of the most incredible guests that have transformed their lives using the exact tools they talk about and offer inside each episode. I'm so honored to share this with you, and I can't wait to dive deeper, because when you see the power of what others have created, you believe you can create it too. And that's all we are really trying to remember, because the world really does need our medicine, and it starts by finding it within yourself. I'm Lauren Eliz Love, and let's dive into the show. Thanks for being here. Hello, you guys. Welcome back. Oh my gosh. I'm really excited about today, and I feel like I've been on this high where like every single episode just feels like it's getting better and better than the next. It's a beautiful place to be. I love this show, and I love that you're here. And I'm really grateful that I have the opportunity to be in a reality where these are the conversations that I have on a regular basis, like these heartfelt, real, raw, authentic conversations. It just feels so good to my body, so good to my spirit, and I hope it feels as nourishing for you here listening on the show. So, little like prerequisite kind of like public service announcement. You guys know I've been batch recording all of these episodes here on the show. And we're actually very ahead of the curve in terms of what we have in the bank to be released versus where we are on the calendar. We're set. Like I think we're like all the way into November. I have all these beautiful conversations recorded. But last week I did this interview with Steph, and I was like, no, we can't wait for this. Like this has to go out right now, because it's so alive in me, what we talked about in today's conversation. It feels so resonant to my reality. And it's interesting because when I reached out to Stephanie to have her on the show, I'm not even sharing my life, you guys. We're just going to get into it. Like, we're just going to get into this episode. When I reached out to her, it was because there was so much, how do I put this? She always had fire, but it was like this new fire of expression that I could recognize was moving through her, and I was feeling it in everything she was sharing. Steph was talking about her journey of like making $37 million and then deciding, you know what, I don't want to achieve anymore. I want to chill out, and what that was doing for her was shifting her into, at least how I saw it as somebody receiving her content, it was shifting her into more unapologetic nature, more essence of like self-expression and play and rawness and vulnerability and truth. And I just, I felt it in everything she was sharing, because as you guys know, in this season of my life, I've been kind of like retiring from the old way, my old business model, and shifting into a place where I'm slowing down and being comfortable with receiving less so I can receive more of what I really want in my life. And, for a while I felt kind of guilty about that, because there is so much conversation in the online space about having more, doing more, achieving more, that I almost felt like I no longer had a seat at the table because I wasn't prioritizing or interested in the growth that so many people teach and preach. And seeing Steph lean into a similar frequency, I was really, really excited to have her on the show. So if you don't know Stephanie, I'm going to give you some background. Her maiden name was Schultz. She's now in a new era with her beautiful husband. They've been married for a while, but like, you know her as XO Gingy. Like, that's her whole brand identity from start. And I went back because I was like, how long have I known XO Gingy? Like, let me go back in my records, and I found that like she and I have been in each other's worlds like all the way back from like 2015, 2016. She took in like the very, very early eras. I was looking in my history of my course portal, this really young baby course I created all the way back, like secret 6-figure launch strategy. My priorities back then were like so different. But she has just done such amazing things in her own way, in her own expression, in her own medicine. And I've taken some of her courses as well. And I just always found her so refreshing as a content creator. But then being able to have her on the show where it was like, there was no hierarchy. Like, she's made a boatload of money and I'm over here, you know, couple million in the bank, and she's like 37 million, and there's no like no hierarchy, no competition. Like, we were just sisters having this really beautiful conversation about her journey of entrepreneurship, my journey of entrepreneurship, what she's learned, how things have changed. And the conversation was really all centered around having the courage to no longer grow and to shift and grow in a new way. So in this conversation, XO Gingy, I feel like I'm just always going to call her that. Steph and I talk about so many different things. We dive into the journey of outgrowing the old versions of yourself, the old versions of personal development and mentorship that like once supported you to shift. She shares her story of why she decided to step away from traditional mentorship. We also share about the journey of protecting your creative energy and capacity, because something I was really fascinated to dive into her with was this story of like, how the fuck do you hold $37 million? Like, that's a lot of money, and that's a lot of people that have access to you. And her business model was so different than mine, where, you know, all of her stuff was like, yes, she did mentorship. Yes, she had like people that were in her field, but a lot of her revenue was generated from these low tickets, and it gave her the permission to have more time freedom. And she did none of this with Facebook ads, by the way, which I find so fascinating. It was all around authentic, vulnerable, real conversation and expression on her social media. So here in the show, we talk about choosing happiness and simplicity, space and freedom. She talks about her journey of learning to trust herself when your path looks different from everybody else's. And what I really loved about this conversation was being able to talk to somebody who is actually just fully themselves. Like, she's been talking a lot on the show about embracing her too muchness, and a lot on her Instagram account. I mean, like, you know, just sharing, like, I am embracing this quality in me. And when I talked to her, I was asking her, like, you know, what is it like to no longer try to strive, grow and succeed? And like, do you care about having a seat at the table? Like, now that you're not growing, do you feel like you're missing out? Or do you feel like you know, aren't maybe belonging to this, you know, hub of creators that's all successful? And she's like, Lauren, I love my free time. And I'm getting more interviews now that I've announced my retirement, quote unquote. But she's just playing in her entrepreneur path. And I think it's so beautiful to witness. And this conversation was such medicine for me. And I really hope it is for you too. So you can check out Stephanie in the show notes. All the details are there. Her Instagram is the place to be for inspirational medicine around, just claiming your radical self and not being afraid to show up as an entrepreneur doing you. Like, who cares what everybody else is doing? Do you. So with that, let's just dive in. Enjoy this episode, guys. that we like honor the authenticity of our connection. And like we've been in each other's world for so long. So to have this like full circle moment where we're here, I feel so excited. I feel
I
so
know.
happy.
Me too. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I just feel like the season that you're in, which to be transparent, I like see a little bit. I don't know if like the full details, but it's so
We
in
can talk.
alignment of like what I'm going through and like I'll just let you like dive into what you want to go into
Yeah.
and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I was thinking about this before we talked. Like, to be transparent with you, this is the podcast that I have not felt this excited to record a podcast of all the guests. I'm like, we get to talk. Like, this is going to be so good. So I just really want to flow and honor what's real for both of us and just, yeah, really hold space for the truth of that. So it's funny that you said that like when you started your journey, I came into your field as this like calling and cure. I think you were in Six Figure Biz Babe when I ran that program years ago or something. Like we were in some way, shape, or form.
Were you in Angie Lee's world?
So,
Oh, should I not? Sorry. Don't mention names.
no, it's okay. So Jen Casey was business partners with Angie,
Yes.
and Jen was like a really, really dear friend of mine, and we were like masterminding together. This is like 2015 we're talking
Okay.
about, right? Because you were in that when.
So I didn't do anything until 2017 because the middle of that year was when I was like, oh, I can do my own thing. And then that's when I was like even introduced to business coaches because I had no idea this world. I was just like, oh, I want to like sell my fitness stuff on my Instagram. Like, ooh, like maybe I should figure out how to do it. And then I like started connecting with the coaching world. And that's how I think somehow we were connected through other people. And then I was in Angie and Jen's, they did a partnership program. I believe I was in that. And there was like a big group. And that's when I think I started to then like follow and know other people and other women. And I don't know if that's how we were connected or somewhere else. I just remember seeing you and looking up to you like, damn, like who's this person? She's like, you know,
Well,
like I just remember that from the very beginning.
just let me tell you, like the roles have been reversed back and forth because I've been watching you, and whatever is happening for you now, the codes of what you share, it lights me the fuck up. It's like, yeah, I think we are kind of going through similar things in different ways. So to have this conversation, it's like, yeah, it's just such an honor, like such an honor to talk about this and the way that you're showing up so authentically yourself, so transparent about what you're moving through. Like the title of this show is you. Like, thank you. Thank you.
And I appreciate you saying that because it's like my experience feels very like, and like we can talk about this, right? Is like I'm caught almost in between like who I was and like and it's one of these nuanced things where it's like I know who I am, but I'm still like I'm shedding so much stuff that no longer aligns. So I appreciate when you say like it's really resonating for you and I'm sure so many other people because even when I'm expressing myself, I'm letting myself be very just real and unfiltered, but I'm like, do I even make sense? Is this really how I feel? So when you're saying it's landing, then I'm like, okay, great. It's for
landing.
The right people. It is landing because I think it is not something that has really been talked about. But a lot of people are experiencing it, but they don't have words or there's a lot of maybe weird feelings around it. So no one wants to like maybe admit what they're going through, whatever, right? And so, yeah, like I've come to a place where very clear, like the new season of life and business that I'm in, and I'm feeling more confident in it to share about it very unapologetically. And it's been very healing for me. But then to see people's responses, whether they're going through something similar or something a little bit different, I'm like, well, a lot of women need this conversation right now. And I'm not trying to like be the secret answer for anyone. I'm just being authentic and sharing, hey, this is my truth right now.
Yeah. And I think that on that note of just like being transparent and holding the truth, for me, it feels like I'm going through this process of like there's a death happening, there's a return happening. Like it feels like I'm kind of coming back into like this rooted kind of sense of self, but then there's also like a newness of stepping into something. So it's like all of those things happening at once. I really relate to what you just said because I'm trying to share authentically in real time, but simultaneously it's like I don't really know what I'm going through. It's like everything all at once, you know?
Mic on me is bothering me right now. It's just like,
Wait, can we just pause? Because I have a very important question, the most important question of this conversation. How was Hillary Duff?
okay. I mean, listen, I'm still not over it. I'm still processing. I think I'm gonna go again.
You
Like
should.
it's just every person needs to go, especially if you're a millennial and you grew up in her era. It is so much fun and it's
How
so
old are
healing.
you, though? I'm just wondering.
I'm gonna be 35 just over a month.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense because I was thinking about this. You growing up with Lizzie McGuire, I grew up with Lizzie McGuire, but I'm 38. But I had a sister who was your age, and she would watch the show, and I got hooked. Like watched the movie. Oh my God, so many times.
Yep.
What was the metaphor of because her content and the way she expresses herself is I think kind of this like she's like in the same field as everything we're talking about too.
I resonate so much with like obviously she's what I think she's 38. So
Hmm.
she's in her late 30s. I resonate so much because like she obviously was a childhood star. So success very young. Okay,
Young.
I
Hmm.
wasn't successful very young, but right, you go through
No, but
that
that's young, sweetheart. Like
totally in your
you're
20s.
retired in your 30s.
Right.
Like there's
Okay.
something to be said about that. Like that's young.
So yeah, and I mean, I we could talk about this too. Like building a business in your 20s, we are still we are babies.
Hmm.
Like I was 26 when I started. I didn't know myself. I thought I did. I didn't know my values. I wasn't fully grounded in myself. So it's like to then become an entrepreneur with like an online presence and people are you know what I mean? Like that
Hmm.
and that is something and to keep it on the Hillary Duff thing is like she very much talks about like I am not that little girl anymore, but the world still sees me as that girl. So how can I be true to like the 38-year-old I am today and still like love the girl that like the world knows me as? And I think that's a very beautiful way to look at it. Is like she's changed, but we love her because of her and because of Lizzie, you know? And it's like how can she heal that part of her to like love the childhood star that she's outgrown, but then fully own like the adult, the woman, the mother, whatever she is
Hmm.
today.
Hmm.
And I think about that for my journey, like so much of what I was years ago, I'm not anymore, and maybe I would even disagree with. But I don't want to like hate on that version of me. I
No,
can
right.
say, hey, you know, I'm not that anymore, and I can own that I'm not that anymore. But also, those things were all very true for me 5 years ago or 8 years ago or
Mm.
whatever it is. And I'm sure maybe you have similar feelings of like, I'm shedding something which needs to be like shedded, is the
Hmm.
word, right? But
Hmm.
also, like, can I shed those parts of me without having to
Shaming
like
them.
be angry with them or like, you know, and I think too, I don't know if you feel this way, a little sense of responsibility because I do know people look up to me and maybe they're in a season where the things that I've outgrown are good for them in their season. So how can I like just model evolution
Mm,
instead of it being like that was bad or wrong? Because I don't think it
yeah.
was bad or wrong. I think it's evolution and honoring myself, honoring my journey, you honoring your journey, everyone like holding space for everyone's path without maybe reading so much into, well, why is she not about that anymore? Should I
Right.
not be about that?
There was something that you actually created recently where you talked a little bit about this. You said something like you were celebrating people being honest, real, and authentic, even if what they were saying didn't resonate with you, right? And then there was something else you shared about being able to embrace your change and not being ashamed to say, hey, like this is different for me now. Like one of the things you've been talking about that I've been so curious to elaborate more deeply on, kind of this like mm, yeah, maybe we can go here to start. I mean, like we have to probably at the back end of this talk about Hillary Duff and have more conversation because
Totally.
yeah, I'm like so inspired by her as well. And I think this like era of being mature in your 30s that we're all kind of embracing, it's the radical reclamation of your self acceptance, essentially, to be like, I'm going to change, I'm going to evolve, I'm going to shift. One of the changes you've been talking about is how like you're not doing mentorship anymore the way that you did. And I really wanted to talk to you about that. Like, the perspectives, points of view, I'm sure we resonate on. So, yeah, can I
Yeah.
give you the floor to talk about that? Like, as somebody who was talking so much about these high investments that you were making all the time to honor your growth, and now you're like, no, peace out. I'm here. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, what happened? Would you like to share a little bit about that?
Sure. I think there's many things. One, I am in a season where I am not trying to like grow my business to the next level.
Thank God. I'm same era.
I'm like,
Fuck.
so my intention with mentorship has been, well, I'm going to invest in mentorship because I'm continuing wanting to grow like financially. I want to, and even growing my capacity, my leadership. I want to continually hold masterminds and clients. Like that was my intention to have that support. So in this season, I'm like retirement, not really, but you know what I mean? Like
You're playing.
retiring from a lot of things I don't want to do anymore and like scaling back and just selling mostly my passive stuff, and I'm not doing a lot of live coaching, so it doesn't really make sense for me to be actively investing in my business when I'm not actively like growing and trying to scale it the way that I used to. So that's a big part of it. The other thing that is maybe more interesting, and it's, as a coach, I'm going to be the one to say it, is like, I feel like in my current season of life, I have a lot of undoing to do from personal development or mentorship or even just communities and spaces that I've been in, that I'm being careful not to like hate on and demonize, but also being very real with my truth of like, wait, it has that been as beneficial as I thought, or now I'm
Mm,
like I almost feel like I need to like undo things, like
mm,
undo thought patterns or undo ways of thinking. And again, it's in the moment years ago those maybe felt like it served me, but now it almost feels like, oh, in hindsight I don't know if that served me, or maybe it just doesn't serve me now, so that's maybe why I'm questioning it. But I feel like I'm in a season of almost liberation and coming home to myself.
I feel that.
And I like what has changed is I've really just connected back with the truth of who I am. And I'm not plugging into things. I'm connecting to with my husband more, people in my family, like people who know Stephanie outside of
Mm,
business that I'm not like paying for support, and it's like that's been healing. That's made me happy.
mm,
It's just honoring my heart, my soul, my intuition. Like that's actually been the thing that's made me the happiest in years. So again, it's like, and I'm a coach. I want people to invest in themselves. I want people to grow, but also I think there's that fine line too, right? Of like, I don't necessarily believe we need to always have support. And I would say that to someone even in if they're steps behind me.
mm,
I think what's more beneficial is intentionality and asking yourself, what am I investing in? And is this the right move? And is this not? I think that's a very healthy way
mm.
to go about it. And yeah, so it's actually been very transformative for me to step away from all of that
Yeah, and I
this
feel it
year.
in your content. Like I feel because I went through just like everybody, you go through seasons where you're like really consuming somebody's body of work and it's fueling you. And then you go through a season where you're like, "Oh, I'll move in a different direction." But then you came back. Like it was almost like I felt this deep connection and resonance to how you were showing up, and then I went through some things on my own. You disappeared off my media algorithm radar, and now you're here and I'm like, "Wow, this is a very new you. Like this is very like your energy feels really not that it wasn't before, but just very clean, very potent, very direct, very embodied, very mature, and also very edgy in your power. Like it feels like I'm watching you kind of go through these like moments where the way you say something, the photo you use, the statements you make, it's like you're reaching this new edge of truth. And
Yeah.
it's really beautiful because I do think, very much relating to what you're saying, first of all, I went through a whole identity ego death crisis where I'm like, well, I've achieved a lot of things and achieving was my identity, right? Like, look
Mhm.
how much I can achieve. And then it became this grieving process where I was like, wow, if I'm not growing into something next, how do I feel comfortable being here, right? And it was
Mhm.
like, oh, everything was a trauma response. I didn't realize that. Like I was pushing so much, and not shaming it right or wrong, but I think in that time, really coming into this place where sometimes growth is actually leaning into joy for where you are now, right? And like feeling that breath and the undoing of the development, the community, the belief systems, deconstructing all of that, I think is just as much an important part of the evolution process as learning new things, right? Like unlearning is just as necessary too, right? Did you feel like it was an ego death when you were like, oh, I'm not achieving anymore. Now what? Or was it easy and seamless for you?
It was not easy and
Okay,
no.
good.
It
Just
was
checking.
just, it was so interesting. And I was actually asking my husband this today. I was like, how long do you think I lost my spark for? Because I have a post about coming, like how long I lost my spark and how I got it back. And so it was what it actually felt like for me was I would say 1.5 to 2 years where I just felt like energetically, this isn't it. This isn't it.
Mm,
This isn't it. And it was confusing because for so many years it was it and it felt right and it felt very aligned. And then it just started to kind of feel like I'm not maybe enjoying this as much as I used to, but I enjoy it a little. So maybe don't completely get rid of it, right? Or like
mm-hmm.
the things that used to feel really good maybe feel heavy, or I'm not looking forward to them, or they're not making me happy as much anymore. So it's like I had a very open mind around it all. Like, what is this? Is this a phase?
The curiosity around it.
Curiosity?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm very like with this kind of stuff. I'm very like lighthearted when it comes to this deeper stuff. It's like we're humans. We're gonna go through ups and downs. We're gonna,
Yeah.
it's that's my approach to it.
I
But
love it.
it was like I would say 1.5 to 2 years of just feeling like unfulfilled, ups and downs in my emotions, and like not feeling 100% happy in business, but also that didn't mean that something was completely wrong and I had to like, shut it all down. I was still operating and things were fine, but I just knew something was off. And then at the end of last year, it came to acceptance of like, I need to really let go of so many things because this is just not it anymore. I'm very proud of what I've built. And a big intention that I had early on was to build financial freedom as young as possible and then live it. And I think that it was an identity shift for it to be like, but you're here. So stop building it. Stop
Mm.
hustling, stop
Mm-hmm.
growing, stop like you're here. And the like you're here is like what I want, but then it's a shift of like now I'm not operating the way I used to, and that can feel confusing, and that was emotional for me, and that was ups and downs
Same.
because also everything that we're exposed to is
Jeez.
everyone in their journey of growth. I haven't seen someone go through what my heart was craving, so I didn't even have a model or even someone's content to be like, and this is how you will feel and this is normal. Everyone's still in their growth phase, which is fine. So it almost felt like, I don't think I've ever said this, is it almost felt like I was a failure. Is that crazy?
It's fucking mind blowing, but I deeply relate to it.
I felt like and I
Yeah.
like have my husband in my ear. I feel like myself getting emotional, right? Like, are you kidding me, Steph? Like everyone wants what you have, yet I feel like a failure because everyone around me is in like a growth phase, and I'm like, no, I'm good, And so that's why it was hard for me. But when I was like had that moment of like, this is not right, and I get to own my new season, and I let go of things that didn't feel good anymore. That's when I like my life and my personality started to come back. And I'm sure that's probably when people started to feel a shift in my content. There's something different. There's whatever it is. And then I just started to say, I'm on the right path now. Like choose you, choose you, choose you. Don't look at what other people are doing. We're not in the same season. We want different things. That is fine. What is this new era calling you to do? And then now I'm here, you know, but it was definitely like a shedding, and it was definitely hard, like the hardest identity shift ever in my entire life.
I think so too.
Like, it's just so confusing. You're misunderstood, and you can't be upset because you're successful, right? You can't,
Yeah.
You're like, how dare you like say that you're upset?
Well,
you
and
know?
everybody looks at you like you don't have problems. Like that's, I think the exhausting part for me was like I was very much like you going through this whole process where I was like, I literally can't find a model for this on the internet. Like, can you show me? And it just didn't exist. And it was really frustrating because I was going through this whole kind of, yeah, this, as you described, this like inner questioning and curiosity, but also for me, it was exhaustion at the same time because I was like looping in these things of like, well, what's wrong with me that like I don't want to grow anymore? My body literally doesn't want to grow anymore, and I should. And now that I'm not doing this and I have this expectation on myself, I'm tired. But for me, it was like the shedding part where I was like, okay, I'm not going to take clients anymore. I'm not going to launch these programs. I'm not doing a group mastermind anymore. The shedding part made so much space for me that it was like so confusing. Like
Yeah.
I think
So
for
the
me,
space was confusing.
the
Yeah.
space was confusing because for so long, like I think you were better at this than me. Like when I look at your success, not to compare, but your ability to leverage the many to one ratio, I think I did that as well, but mine was not as structurally sound as what maybe I thought yours appeared to be. Like, for example, I would fly to run a retreat and land in a totally different time zone and still have to do group calls and then answer all the messages in Voxer and then prepare for the group facilitation and then go offline for a week, but then come back online before I land to pick up on all the work, to get back home, to get a call right before my, like, it was too much. It was way too much. And I felt this really confusing space where when I got rid of all those things, I was so relieved that I didn't have the attachment to other people's expectations on my field. But simultaneously, it was like kind of, yeah, that confusing energy. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you did it better than you had it figured out a little bit better
Well,
than me.
I think it because I got rid of like a lot of live coaching, like masterminds, group calls, kind of like you're talking about, but a lot of what I built is actually courses. So I would
That big
teach
body of work.
body of work courses, which is now what I'm leveraging and selling, and some stuff I'll do new live, but it's like it sounds like you were doing more of like everyone on a call, you're coaching people in real time, you're responding, all of that, which I always found like out of everything the most exhausting because it is. You're
It
always
is.
responding, you're always holding space. Even with boundaries, I always felt like I was on. Like even like, oh, I'm not checking in anymore after a certain time, like messages would stress me out. So I did that, but I did more of building a body of work, like courses and stuff like that. So like a lot of my income wasn't reliant on that live coaching, you know, but it was hard for me to still make the decision to say, I'm not going to take on live clients anymore. I'm not going to do another live coaching container again because I was just so used to doing it that it felt wrong to not.
Yeah.
And also it's like one of those things where, and this I think was the hardest part, is people want it from me. And for me,
We need to talk about that.
when I cried the last time that I was like, I don't like, we're not doing this again, and I don't know if I ever will, and it was hard. And I remember crying on one of the last calls I did for a group container, and I was crying because I knew it was the right decision, and I finally made it for myself.
Mm.
And I was okay that people might be a little disappointed that they won't get this from me all the time, but I knew it was what I had to do. And that's been part of my liberation, because now I have the space that I desire to create in a new way, to let myself discover me without always just holding other people. We need that space, and it's very uncomfortable and it was hard, but it's a big reason that I feel as solid as I do now, is the ability to let go of it when it would have been more comfortable to hold on to it. People please, whatever, just don't want to change ways. But I sat in that discomfort, and I'm so happy I made that decision, but it was very hard.
When I look at you and how you show up, you are the artist archetype, like through and through, right? Like you're creative, you love expression, you're like really rooted in your play and how you harness that. And I feel like what you just said, where you're like, people wanted that from me, right? They want this from me. I would really love to pause on that and go a little bit deeper into it, because I feel, in my opinion, that the industry that we were conditioned into has it so fucking ass backwards, where we're like taught, hey, start creating content, figure out what people want from you, and then just keep giving them what they want. But like, what if you don't want to do, what if you don't want that, right?
100%.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
So, what's interesting is, like, if we even go back to when I started and I did like fitness coaching for the first 2 years of my business, I literally had no idea what was taught or what people were telling fitness coaches to do, which I think was one-to-one clients, a lot of one-to-one, hire co-coaches, whatever. I wasn't even aware of that. I was just, as a creator, I'm going to create a course, a program, a one-to-many. Like, it didn't even cross my mind to do one-to-one. So since the beginning, I've always just followed, because and I'm grateful that you see that in me. I'm a creator, I'm a teacher. I've always identified as that first. So when I'm creating something, I'm in my magnetism and my joy, and people feel it and they respond. And to your point, people come in, they're like, I want to be a coach, I want to build my business. Okay, do this. Market research. What do people want? Blah, blah, blah. But there's no energy in that. There's no like creation, brand, innovation, depth in that. It's like carbon copy. What do I do? Sign clients, very like, I need X amount of clients per month to make X amount of money. Like, that makes me feel so heavy. Like, I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Totally.
I want to create. I'm very inspired by Hillary Duff, my life, this and that.
Taylor Swift.
Right? So whatever, right? So it's so exactly when you picked up on like the should energy. If I'm like, oh, I should do this, or they want me to do this, and maybe I was holding on to things, like I said before, a little too long, that felt good in the past, but then felt like a should, which created resistance for a few years. That's definitely what happened. But when I honored myself instead of what I should do, then it opened up this new era for it to feel like, okay, letting go of what feels like a should that used to feel good, and that's fine, we change, and being okay that some people might be unhappy, but I've got to be in my happiness. And I know that if I want to continue to do this in some capacity, I have to honor what feels best for me.
Yeah, it's like that. But I just took an exhale as I heard you say that, right? Like, if I'm going to continue to show up, I have to follow that path of like, what is best for me. What would you say is like, this is just coming to me as you say that. What was like if you look back on your history, like, I learned a really good lesson and I'm never doing that again. What would you say is like the tops of that?
Like, this is so specific, but like, and maybe you can relate, is like group chats, like a mastermind group in a Telegram. Never in the number one thing that stressed me out the most in my business was group chats. Multiple messages to respond to in one chat is my biggest nightmare. And eventually I stopped doing it when I was like, no, this just doesn't even have to be part of this kind of group program or whatever. But that for sure. But like, maybe if something will come to me, but this is the other thing is, yeah, sure, I've held on to some things maybe too long, but I've always been a pivoter. Like, I've always, like, I started doing not to say that I was the first, because I definitely wasn't, but like I turned a lot of my programs into audio only. So not even having to be on Zoom to deliver.
Yeah.
I did a whole 365, a year long Telegram only audios. You don't have to have a light in your face. You're not looking in a camera. I'm just riffing in my
I
phone.
love
It was one
it.
of my people's favorite offers. So even sometimes I'll do like a new training or a master class. It's audio only. It works so well for my energy.
Yeah.
When I realized, I like to do calls, but every so often feels heavy. Okay, how can I still serve in a way that feels lighter and it's still valuable? So I feel like I've always made small pivots to kind of align
Mm.
with my capacity over time.
Well, like the digital era is it's become so dimensional, and I feel like a lot of people approach it from this place of like, how am I supposed to structure programs or design containers? But the dimensionality of the tech that we have really gives us the flexibility to really show up the way we want, right? Like, you want slides, if that works for you, great. I will never build a program with slides ever again. Like,
Yeah.
that is painstaking for me. And I really love being able to not get dressed up, to channel medicine and movement, and to have audio transmissions. Like, some of my greatest bodies of work were audio only. And
Yes.
I think really too, there's so much fucking noise out there, right? Isn't it so like, it breathes a sigh of relief to me when I don't have to focus on what I'm watching and what I'm listening to and just like consume through the
Yeah.
ear. So,
I feel like my trainings, my transmissions are always more powerful when I'm not like looking into a screen or looking at other people or looking at a chat. I'm
yeah,
just like, there's something about my audios that maybe you feel the same. Like I'm more grounded, I'm more present. They're more potent in the way that I'm communicating, which is then more beneficial, obviously, for the people listening, even though you don't
totally.
see each other's face or whatever. So, and it's like I would record stuff just on my own time, whether it's super early in the morning or late in the evening. It doesn't matter. It's like just audio. So I
Mm,
found so much freedom in that, and I still do new stuff on that too. But again, it's like you're very like energetic based, right? Like you're in tune with
totally.
yourself, and I mean, so many people are, right? But this approach has to be the approach for people like us who aren't just like, oh, fill your calendar and oh, do the
Mm-hmm.
blueprint. It's like where we're more like innovative, creative, we feel it's like there has to be a quote unquote model, which is also everyone can have a different model for people like this who are more creative and we change
Right.
so much versus people who are a little bit more structured or whatever. They can do it the traditional way. But I have a feeling that people are seeking a brand and a business that just feels more fluid, more free, more experiential, and maybe there's a whole new era in this space that is very different than what a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people are doing.
Yeah, and the only way I think we're going to find it is if we give ourselves the permission to step into that public evolution to be like, okay, I'm going to meet a new edge. I'm going to try something new.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what you talked about before of like group chat with Voxer or WhatsApp or Telegram, like having to respond to all these audios. I personally, I think the biggest difficulty for holding larger capacity was always because my energy was being drained by response, right? Feeling like, oh, I have to answer this and I have to respond to this, and this person sent me a message and I have to make sure I get back to them. What I really love about what you've created, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you've really been able to refine your medicine to this place where people don't have access to you. And you're like, what's your milestone? 37 million? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what the fuck? Like, teach me your ways. Like, how were you? Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong. Like, there's a part of my work that, and I want to be really clear about this for anybody who's listening. I feel like I have to speak it. I do in my spiritual medicine work and my trauma resolution work. I'm very like, let's go deep, let's go intimate, but I do that with a select group of people. But servicing entrepreneurs who want to figure out how to make money and be successful, there's this energetic thing that happens when you let people have access to you.
Yeah. So like
Sticky.
I noticed this from myself early on is like, okay, client calls feel draining. Answering messages feels draining. Like I'm like I observed this early on and I was like what feels the least draining for me is not responding to people, but rather teaching.
Yep.
So that's why a lot of my stuff became like course building. And even if I would do it live on Zoom, I'm not responding or holding space. They're just there live and I'm teaching. So then I built most of my body of work that, and then I would still have masterminds in private, but I would really honor how many clients would I have in there, knowing that it is the most draining. But then now I'm at a space where I don't have any private clients unless it is people that like I have a relationship with and I know our energy really matches. And I do honor, you know, if some people have been through stuff with me as their mentor, I want to be there. You know what I mean? So it's I'm not welcoming new energy into my world. If I do a group thing, it would be like calls only. It wouldn't be messages, because for me as a creator, for me to create in my brand and my content the way that I am now, that other energy, I would have no creation. I had no ideas. You know, and so there was seasons in my business where I was responding more, and it felt so hard to write content. I couldn't connect with myself because I was holding everyone else or responding. So now I don't have, I've filtered a lot of that out. So I feel I can just be a creator and then just focus on those kinds of offers that are passive or one-to-many.
Yeah, and I think too, it's like everybody else's energy when it's in your field, it's really hard to harness your own. It's difficult to channel that through.
I would need like a segmented time after connecting with clients to like even reground. To then be like, okay, what am I feeling today? And sometimes I wouldn't even get that on a day. And then I started to value my space more than however many clients would come in. You know what I mean? I'd rather not have those clients or not have that income and have completely be grounded in my energy.
Did you ever go through, this is super personal, but I guess sister to sister, it feels like it's resonant for me to ask. Did you ever go through certain situations with clients that like wrecked your nervous system? And
yeah. And I mean, yeah. Like, yeah. Like,
that was a lot of processing for me over the last 2 years, like unwinding from those experiences. I had like 3 back to back where I was like, what the fuck? Like I felt like I was in the twilight zone. It was so difficult.
And it's hard too, because I think you don't really know until you're like in a container with someone how someone's energy is going to affect you, even with like a great screening process or whatever you want to, like, you don't really know. And I mean, as difficult as this is, I find it quite fascinating, right? Like, and I don't know the situations that you've had, right? Or like how people show up in a coaching container.
It's fascinating.
It's like, okay, I paid for this. I maybe have you on a pedestal now. I have to use it all now. That like it's all of these things that are like, oh,
crazy,
that are not fun on the receiving end. But in all seriousness, like, not to be dramatic, but that can very much mess up your nervous system, but literally ruin your quality of life. One person can make your whole experience of not just your business, but how exhausting that is, or whatever the situation is, like where I found myself like stressed from one person, and I couldn't even relax. I couldn't even disconnect. I was dreading the next day or whatever it is. So it didn't just like affect my body. It affected like my entire life for those times. But as much as they make you stronger, I would actually say like it's not worth it to like have that at all. At all.
It's not. And I think those were situations too where I found myself being like, because I've been in the industry since like 2015, so like we've been here for a long time, right? And the things that I experienced, there were 3 very difficult experiences with 3 different people all at once. Simultaneously, like my ex-husband had passed away, so there was so much happening moving through my field. But I just remember like it was not only ruining my like quality of life and really heavily impacting me, but I found myself being like, why is it easier for other people? Like everybody, I found myself comparing and being like, why does everybody else have these beautiful experiences with their clients and everything feels so easy, and I'm just getting hit with this now? Am I the only one going through this? So like, why do you think, this is like multiple times we've said things where we're like, nobody's talking about this. Why are these things not being talked about? And is the industry changing? And what is it calling for from your perspective and position and expertise?
Yeah. I think that I think that everyone goes through these weird things, but I think everyone wants to, and maybe I'm a little bit guilty of it in the past too, wants to put up a front like it's all good, even when it's not, and like I have compassion because maybe I did a little bit of that, and I have compassion for other people. It's like, because I think in anything in life there are ups and there are downs. There's easy things and there's hard things, but I think, and this is where too I've had to really navigate my relationship with social media and other people, and knowing social media is just what you see. Like, yes, I want to be able to like connect with people genuinely, but we don't ultimately know who someone is or what someone's going through from their social. Like, that's just the truth of it,
True.
And so I've done a lot of work to get to that place of like, I know my truth. I won't ever be able to know someone else's truth. And so I think that the industry will do better as we are all just more transparent and we bring everybody down, and there doesn't have to be this like pedestal, and stop putting other people on a pedestal or putting ourselves on a pedestal or whatever it is. And it's just like, we are all here doing really good work, and this industry is not easy because you're expected to hold yourself, hold other people, build a brand, be a face of a brand. You're probably in your 20s or your 30s, you're young, you're still figuring life out. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
You're navigating your relationship with money, your relationship with success, your relationship with visibility, your relationship with clients. You're being an entrepreneur and trying to manage a partner, a family. That, like, it is insane. And then we want ourselves to be perfect, and we want it to be a certain way. And I just think the more that there's transparency, but also what I appreciate is honoring, we touched on this, honoring everyone's evolution and honoring the changes that people want to make for themselves without judgment. Like, I'm not going to judge if someone is like, I don't want any one-to-one clients or any messages. I'm like, all the power to you. Or like, if someone is the opposite of me and they're like, I hate courses, I want 100 one-to-one clients and whatever, like, all the power to you. Like,
what do you authentically want?
And let's stop judging each other and shaming each other and creating content about each other. It's all of that little cattiness that I think that everyone has a defense up, like, and it's like, what
who's
if we're
right?
just, yeah, who's right? What's the right way? Or like we're all right. We're just on a different path, and we're changing, and we're all changing and evolving. I think that's what's going to make this industry better and easier for everyone. And also, I hope that maybe I can somehow be part of this, not saying that I know the answer, but maybe just modeling my mess, right, is like my mess. And I think you can relate to this, is like, what is it like when you don't want to achieve the way you used to? Because a lot of women are actually wrapped up in achieving for what?
I have a theory about that.
They don't want it, but they're wrapped up in it. And I have a post coming. It's written. I just need to post it, where it's like, I don't know what number I'll use, but it's like, I don't want $100 million business. Actually, I think you did a reel that was similar to this.
I did, yeah.
But I wrote a whole post. It's like, I just want to go for a walk in the morning and not worry about rushing back to work. I wanted to be, actually make one today where after this, we're going to the grocery store. And I'm like, it's a Tuesday, we're going to the grocery store. Me and my husband. There was no bot.
Grocery store in the middle of the week is the best.
I know. I'm like, this is what I'm like. This is what I don't want to scale to the next level. I want to go to the grocery store, come home, and watch TV for the rest of the day. But I think that, and again, it's like there's a whole element of like, you have to have complete financial freedom, but stability financially in your business to be able to like let go, right? That's important. But like the pressure to constantly achieve, I don't like that. I felt that and it didn't serve me, right? And I had to let go of that to be in this place to confidently say, I don't want that anymore, But I think that can be very refreshing, because you don't need to have a multi-million-dollar business.
No.
You can have a great life making multi-six figures or whatever, and you're happy, stress-free. You have the life that you love. and you're great. Like, and I just think we need to normalize these conversations, because I think that there's a lot of people who are genuinely unhappy pushing for something that is not going to make them happy at the end of the day, and they're pushing for what, the validation, the I don't know. And
Yeah,
but it's
it's
just so easy to
messy.
get caught up with that. I hope we can change the conversation around success, which is actually happiness, and your definition of freedom, which is different for all of us.
There's it's different for all of us, and also like the way you walk it is very inspiring to me because I feel like for a long time I was that girl who was chasing that success, right? Like I went through a long time where that was like really important to me. But it was like a I don't know. I can look back and I can see my own red flags, right? Like I can see how it was like I wanted a lot more money so that I could have a fancy house so I could feel a certain thing about myself and get the designer handbags so I could feel a certain way about myself. And when I look at your path, like we don't dress the same, right? And I'm fully celebratory over everything you get and everything you have. And there's a very distinct difference between the way that you walk it versus the way I was trying to walk it. Where,
Yes.
like, for example, correct me if I'm wrong, but like you were making millions before you bought your dream home and you were living in like a small apartment way beyond the point where like you could have afforded to move. And all of these beautiful outfits that you grabbed, like a lot of them were not designer and they were fun and like easy 30, 50 bucks, 80 bucks because you loved the creativity it gave you in your creative expression. It was embodied, it was an integrity, and it was not pushing to get to have to binge from this place of like I kind of see it like eating disorder mentality in a sense, where it's like control and extremism. And that gave you, I think, the opportunity to say, like, now I'm here, now I exhale, I buy my beautiful house, I get the fancy handbags, I do all the things I want to do. Like, it just felt, am I making sense? Like, it felt balanced to me in that
Yes.
way.
And I'm grateful that you recognized that in like me, because like my husband and I, we always joke because like my business was making multi-millions, crazy celebrations, but the first thing on my mind was not upgrading my lifestyle. Because I was in creator energy still. I was those milestones and those results were a representation of my joy for what I was creating.
Fully.
So it was like, and we also, and this is a whole other conversation though, of like just being smart with money and building wealth. I feel like, if people move too fast sometimes and then they're left with nothing.
They can't hold it.
We were like, you know what? Like my husband was still working where we used to live for a little bit. So we weren't in a rush to like go and buy this and that. We're like, we'll have all these things when we're ready to kind of settle down and commit somewhere. So, but again, it's right, that difference of like, oh, let me grab onto it. And then it's like, here, like, look, I've got this now, versus I didn't have a desire to do that. I was still in the zone of just creating in my business. And I was excited for the future freedom of buying the home or buying the things and having the lifestyle. So I do appreciate you saying that, because I think it's a good thing, again, for women to contemplate. Like, you get to have all these beautiful things and enjoy your life and your freedom, but it has to be authentic and real. It just has to. And it's like to me, like, I love my handbags, but I love that I could just go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Like it's so I feel very like both matter to me, and I don't want to like discredit, like it does matter, but in a very, like you said, embodied way, where at the end of the day, like, we just love a very simple life.
I'm the same way. I think I wanted, like for me, I wanted all of the extreme things that I saw other people having, and I was chasing them from this state of urgency because I was trying to find my identity, right?
Yeah,
And that,
it's like that'll make me feel better. Like that'll
yeah,
be the thing. And but again, it's, we're given that narrative, right? We're
totally.
shown like you're happy and successful and you have this and you'll feel a certain way. Like, we're shown that, but the amount of people who have all of these things and they're not fulfilled, right? And they're not happy. So it's, but I think sometimes we have to learn the hard way too. You know, like I thought so hard that that was going to be the thing that would save me or fix me or whatever. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
and I still have my problems and whatever. But again, something I've always said is we're taught how to make money, but we're not taught how to be wealthy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now you're in this place where you're like, we've said this before, like 30 and retired. Like, yeah, elaborate on that a little bit. Like being wealthy versus like the hustle of trying to get it because you're hungry for more.
Yeah.
What's the shift there?
Yeah. I mean, I just feel more grounded, obviously, where it's just like I can like breathe and I feel at ease and I feel safe and I feel grounded. I feel at peace versus in the hustle. But I also loved the hustle. I can do, right? It's just more of like you're building, you're growing, you're working towards something. It's like go, go, go. And again, this was part of my, I guess we can call it identity shift, because I am a very like, when I get excited about something, I'm all in, and I still have that. But there's a difference now where it's like, I'm not building it, I've built it. And now I'm continuing to do and choosing what I want to do from a place of like complete freedom, versus before was building the freedom. Now I have the freedom and I'm just very intentional with how I spend my time and my energy, choosing only desire, choosing only what feels good in this season versus, and again, I think if I would have had someone talk about this, it would have been helpful for me, right? Is it's hard to go from building to like enjoying the wealth, because it's almost like you're addicted to building. Your body doesn't know anything else. Your identity so it, like it says, you feel wrong
You
when you're
do.
ready to embrace the wealth or the freedom, because it's such a shift from the going and the going and the going.
Yeah, I think that like reminder of like for me, I have to say this to myself a lot. Like I'm safe to learn a new way, and I'm
Yes.
learning a new way, right? Like this new path. I think one of the things that was coming up when you were talking, I was reflecting on this concept of like, yeah, like being in the wealth and being mindful of your time and honoring your desire for simplicity. And I love space. Give me space. Like space
Mm-hmm.
is great medicine for me. I was wondering, for someone of your status where you are in your position of having accumulated this beautiful prosperity for you and your partner, is there ever a sensation that comes up of like desiring to belong to some of these like social circles or like groups of other elite women that have achieved success? Because I think that was something that came up for me, where when I stopped trying to hustle to like get to a new place in my life and just accept my sensation of achievement where I am now, I had that thing, that fear of like, well, if I'm not achieving more, I might never sit at that table. I might not ever be invited to speak on that stage, or I might not ever be a part of that, inner circle mastermind with those people. And that's a wound from my childhood, being bullied and not belonging. So I was just curious if that was something that you had to navigate too.
You know what's so interesting is like well, first of all, I have never been asked more to be a guest on things than in this season where I've been openly dialing back. So we are debunking that right there.
That's good
Literally.
medicine. Yeah.
As soon as I'm like, I'm done, retirement era, crash out, everyone's
Everyone's
like,
like, come
can we
on.
talk to you? Can we talk to you? So there's that. But my true answer is like I've always been a very like introverted person. Like I have never really been like I need to network with these people or be in these like that's never. I've always felt kind of like a loner. Like I thrive as a loner, as an introvert, because I have the space to create. Like
Same, same.
that's how I am. So I for me, I know if I'm not honoring my truth, I don't feel good in my day-to-day life. So if I were to stay a certain way just to be accepted by whoever or be at a certain table, I know that I wouldn't last there long, because I know how heavy that would feel for me to go against what's right for me. And what I've really learned in my journey of being courageous enough to be open about this phase is that actually everyone is just looking for permission to evolve and change. And I might not be the one that's like, I'm going to hustle to X, but I'm honoring my truth And that's more important to me to model to anyone, whether they're in hustle phase or not. And if I don't get invited to something, that's fine. But I have to model like health in this space too, which is honoring your health, your happiness, your truth. And that's what I'd rather model if I'm less invited or whatever it be, because I think that's what I maybe was looking for in my journey, is someone just show me that you can change and go against, and I, if someone would have done that for me, like it would have been a game changer. So I don't feel like I'm missing anything.
Love talking to you. It's like just, oh my God, it's pure medicine. And it's really refreshing too because, you know, I know you're younger than me, but like you're not. Like you have this very beautiful sense of maturity and development within yourself. And yeah, I think the way that I see it, it's like this feeling of radical autonomy. Like, no, how I feel is important. Like, what I want to do with my time and this human experience does matter. And what resonates is something worth pursuing. And what doesn't, I have permission to say no. Like, I just feel this sensation of like inner compass in you that is so strong that I wish every woman had. And it's really refreshing because I've, in all the years that you've been embodying the teacher and crafting your art and communicating your medicine, to be able to hear you today where there's like really not an ounce of falsity, truthfully.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, like it's fucking it makes me want to cry because I'm like, can every woman be like this? Like I just
no, but like this means so much to me because like
so deep.
Not everyone can hold this kind of conversation or you have to have gone through your own stuff to like get it. And I like you have obviously been through a similar journey where like you get it and we can have this conversation. And I respect you so much because of all of your years being in the industry and who you are and how you're honoring yourself in your own way. So it means a lot to me coming from you because also, like I said before, in this journey of mine expressing myself, it's been confusing. Like, is this how I feel? Is this not right? And so it's like that validation, right? Of like, okay, this has felt really good for me and it's connecting with people and it's what people need to hear, just makes me so happy because it feels so true for me, but also is kind of been an awakening too. The response from people of like, oh wait, these conversations are needed. So it's been hard since I started being open. Like before I did, it was hard for me to be open because I was judging myself. But then when I gained the courage to just be open and then see how it's actually been beneficial for everyone, I'm like, well, this is me being open has changed everything for me. And if it could maybe inspire people and they don't tell me or whatever, we can have conversations like this and it be healing for a woman who maybe is feeling lost in her business right now or in the middle of who she was and who she wants to be. Like, I'm just grateful that it's landing. And even though this is not the sexiest conversation in business, it's not, here's how to become a millionaire, right? That's the sexy conversation. Here's how to do this and that. It's like, it's a level of maturity and conversation beyond that, which I'm obviously interested in, that I think whether someone can resonate now or not, they will hear this and in the future they'll need it.
For sure.
Every woman will need this conversation. So thank you for holding space and for even sharing your journey the way that you have.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's really interesting because when I look at like some of the pivotal artists of my time, right? Like I know we're at our point of time, so I want to honor that, but I just feel like this is alive in me. Like I remember I had this very, very clear moment that I really believe I'll die remembering this experience. Like these, what do they call them? Things that have happened to you that are very like core memory. That's what it is. Okay. Core memory. And it was 2014 or 2015, something like that. And I was running on the streets in Sedona, working out. I was training for some thing at the time. And Taylor Swift's 1989 album came out, right? And the song was Welcome to New York that I would play while I was running. And I was like, I fucking hate working in New York City. I don't want to live here anymore. And that song, like what that energy did for me, it was the complete opposite. The song is all about how she's so excited about this moment. And I'm like, I don't want to work there anymore. But it was creating this remembrance of how I felt when I first started working in the city, that like that joy and that excitement. And I woke up to like, oh, this is not that, and I was running to that song and I was feeling that emotion and realizing like this is such cognitive dissonance to how I feel in my regular day-to-day life. That moment, her art coming in at the right time through her own self-expression, that's why I love her work so much, because it's very like, she's showing her life. This is what's happening in real time. Here you go. And she's made millions that way. I feel like artists like that, like such as you, such as like all the creators out there that are using their life force, you might put something out there and say something or express yourself in a certain way that is dissonant to somebody, but maybe that's the medicine that they fucking need to like wake up and be like, oh, wait a minute, this is not reality that I want to be in. And I also think that right now in this era, it's where I was trying to get to at this point, right now there's so much content out there telling us how we are supposed to be, how we're supposed to communicate, the things we're supposed to leverage, the way in which we express them. And so you come in and you're like, no, I'm going to do it this way. And it like cuts, from this other space. So I think the world needs it right now. And thank you. Thank you for being a part of this. Any closing words, stuff that you want to share with anybody who's listening and was a fly on the wall for this dialogue?
Just trust yourself. Your intuition always knows. And with all the noise, we want to go against our intuition, but we always know. And as hard as it can be to honor yourself, when you honor yourself, it always leads to the right thing.
As we wind down this episode of the World Needs Your Medicine podcast, I just want to say thank you so much for listening. It's such an honor to bring you the most incredible guests here on the show. And if you have suggestions, ideas, or things that you would like to contribute, feel free to email us, press@laurenoflove.com. In listening to today's conversation, if there was something that really spoke to you, I invite you to share this conversation with somebody that you love. Talk about it with your friends. Post the replay on your social media platforms. You can even tag us at The World Needs Your Medicine on Instagram. And at any time, it would mean so much to us if you could leave a review on the show. If you're listening on Spotify, just put 5 stars and write something heartfelt on this particular episode if it really spoke to you. If you're on iTunes, all you have to do is just press review and leave your heartfelt reflection in the notes. And if you're listening on YouTube, please come subscribe and continue to follow along for the video format of our show. I'm so happy you're here. Again, I'm Lauren Eliz Love, and to learn more about me, you can go to Lauren of Love on Instagram or laurenoflove.com. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for showing up to do your work. As you grow, stretch, change, and expand, the world needs your medicine, and you're going to start to discover that. So if at any point you feel inspired to join our community, you can go ahead and visit laurenoflove.com/app. This is the sanctuary. I show up and share my courses, my programs, and everything I teach in the online space. That's laurenoflove.com/app. APP. Thank you for being here, guys. I'll see you on another episode very soon.